Hey, what is up, everybody? Cam Fats here, coming at you on behalf of EpicConversions.com. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend out there. Welcome to Monday. It is Monday afternoon, about 3:45 p.m. here in the great state of Ohio, and you know it's always sunny around here. But I didn't come to talk to you about the weather today. I came to talk to you about why we fail to implement, why we fail to take action. Why do we as a people fail to take action so much? Right? That's what I want to talk to you guys about today. And I want to talk to you about it, and I want to try to solve this problem for you in 10 simple points. All right? We're going to do it in 10 points. All right? And before I even get started with any of them, I want to point out this all kind of comes back to this thing that Buddha said a long time ago. Buddha said, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path, right? And when I first heard that, I didn't really know what he meant. I didn't quite understand exactly what he was saying. I thought I had an idea what he meant by that, but I really didn't know. I'm sitting here thinking about it, and it's like there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. And eventually I figured out that what he meant was, there are no ups and downs. It's that the ups and downs of the journey through life is what makes us happy. I wrote this stuff down. So the ups and downs of the journey through life is what makes us happy, right? The ups and downs through the journey of life is what makes us happy. That's what he meant when he said that. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is not an end goal. Happiness for humans is the journey itself, right? That is happiness. It seems kind of boring, right? So that means happiness includes misery, happiness includes sadness, happiness includes tragedy, happiness includes all these bad things that happen to us throughout our journey through life. We got the ups and the downs, and that equals happiness for humans. That's crazy. But it was pretty enlightened, and they say Buddha is the enlightened one. So, whether you believe in Buddhism or not, the dude was fairly smart. Okay, why do we fail to implement? What does that have to do with failing to take action? All right, so let's take this in 10 points. Okay, when I first started learning, Big Joe Doobie in the house, welcome back, my friend. Good to see you feeling better. When I first started learning how to do copywriting, it was something that kept on cropping up in copywriting, is that like fear of pain is greater than desire for pleasure, right? Fear of pain is greater than desire for pleasure. I didn't realize how far that stretched. But I want you to think about that for a second. It's not just copywriting, right? It's life in general. Think about all the people you know who you look up to, who you see as successful. Have you ever noticed that they all have origin stories? A lot of them have origin stories that involve their backs against the wall, right? Many of them have origin stories that involve their backs against a wall, and they're in this I can't lose type situation. They're in a type of situation that produces fear, right? The fear of pain is greater than the desire for pleasure. That's point one, okay? So if point one is true, what we need to understand is that it goes deeper than that, which brings me to point two. We as humans are programmed to survive, not to thrive. We are not programmed to thrive. As humans, our brains are built to survive, okay? So it's not just the fear of pain is greater than the desire for pleasure. And the reason why everybody who you see that is very successful has some kind of origin story where they started out homeless, or they started out losing their job, or they started out in some really bad situation, it's not just fear of pain is greater than desire for pleasure. It's we're built to survive and not to thrive. Okay, we're not built to thrive. We're built to survive as humans. This is physiological. Okay, so that's point two, which leads us to point three. If we're programmed to survive and not to thrive, then what you need to understand is we're programmed and we are built for the status quo. Okay, we're built for the status quo, not for success. You aren't built for success. It's not your mind and your body's natural state to succeed to the next level. It's your mind and body's natural state to survive, to have the status quo. And in our world today, for a lot of us, that's pretty easy to accomplish. We get the status quo. It's almost our birthright. We get the status quo. We're not hunted by lions, you know. We're not facing trials and tribulations every day. You know, some of us, the biggest trials and tribulations we face on a daily basis is what we're going to eat for supper. So the point 3 is, we're built for the status quo, not for success. Okay, so we got to understand that. And also we got to understand that this applies to all decisions you make. As a person, every decision you make, if you let it ride on cruise control, which a lot of us do, a lot of us let these decisions we make ride on cruise control. What you got to understand is your default is survival, not thriving, right? So, and it applies to all decisions you make. So the more decisions that you put on cruise control in your life, the more things that you do where you're not really thinking about it too much, you're just kind of, doing what feels right? Those decisions are generally going to lean towards survival and towards status quo, not like doing something that's going to help you thrive, because generally doing something new is something different. It's going to be uncomfortable. And you guys remember the first point, fear of pain is greater than desire for pleasure, right? Doing something different is painful on a small level. So anyways, this idea that we're built for status quo and not for success, point 4 is it applies to all decisions we make, okay? Point 5, you have to take the wheel to take meaningful action, okay? You have to take the wheel in your decision making if you want to take meaningful action, right? How many of you out there buy courses or start new programs or see an interesting blog article that like maps out a whole strategy for you, but you fail to take action? And then we could say, well, maybe I took a little action, but did you take meaningful action? Did you really commit to it? You know what I mean? How many of you can say, well, I really committed to that? You know, I think that's the key word there, meaningful, right? You have to take the wheel, right? You can't let it ride on cruise control. You have to take the wheel to take meaningful action. And the reason why is because our brains are built status quo. They're not built for success. So if you're not taking the wheel, then you're probably not going to be taking meaningful action, okay? And at any point, this can fall off. That's the thing about it. At any point, this can fall off. Guys, you can start out taking meaningful action for like the first 4 weeks, but if you slide into the status quo, yes, you've upped the bar a little bit, but you're not going to make it to the next level because you fell into the status quo of this new thing. So it's something to keep in mind. The question you need to ask yourself is, how can I make decisions where I thrive and not just survive? That's the question you got to ask yourself. And that's what I mean when I say take the wheel. You got to take the wheel on these important decisions that you're making in life. I remember I always tell people, in my origin story that, I lost my job in 2010, and this kind of sparked, all this online stuff, and I ended up, that initiated me to go back to college and study business, and that initiated me to do a membership program and all this other stuff that happened after. It was all sparked by this initial thing that I lost my job. But the story I never tell you guys, the story you've never really probably heard before. Hey, Shelly, how you doing? Shelly in the house. Shane Vozar in the house. Joe Doobie. How's everybody doing? The story I never really tell anybody is the story of the last 2 years that I spent working at the hospital, staying up all night on my days off, studying online stuff, taking shots. I remember I did this little survey thing. I bought the Google Sniper course, from George Brown. and I tried that, failed miserably at it. I remember I got into Site Build It for a while, and I tried that, failed miserably at it. And what was I doing? I was doing it in my off time, right? I was working at a job. I was making money, supporting my family, but I was trying to do this on my off time, right? Because I had these dreams, this desire for pleasure, right? This desire for pleasure, this desire to thrive and succeed, but I wasn't in pain, I didn't have a strong enough desire because I didn't have that pain, that fear, right? It wasn't until I lost that job and I was put in this position of fear that I took meaningful action, right? I wasn't taking meaningful action. So to come back to point 5, you have to take the wheel to take meaningful action, right? You got to ask that question: how can I make decisions where I thrive and not just survive? Okay. Point 6, making those decisions designed to make you thrive. It is a discipline. Okay. Making those decisions, taking that wheel consciously and not just riding on a cruise control level, taking those decisions, making those decisions, taking that wheel. Okay. It's a discipline. Okay. It's something that you have to consciously practice. It's an art form that you have to practice. You have to consciously commit to the discipline of taking the wheel and making decisions that will help you thrive and not just survive. Okay, it's a discipline. You have to work on it. You're not going to be perfect at it. Nobody's perfect at it. It's a discipline that it's like martial arts. Okay, you work on it. You get better at it. Okay. Point 7. Right now in the U.S., this is the United States. You're going to have to check for your own country. I know everybody who watches these videos are not all in the U.S., but I'm speaking from my point of reference, okay? And in my point of reference, I live in Ohio in the United States, so I'm going to speak from that point of reference. I would tend to reason a lot of you guys are in similar situations, though. But right now in the U.S., we spend 11 hours a day looking at screens. That's like 3.5, 4 hours a day looking at internet, tablet, browser screens, and another 4.5, 5 hours a day looking at television screens. And there's some other stuff in there too. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but we spend on average a little over 11 hours a day looking at screens. Basically, we spend most of our waking hours looking at screens. Okay. So that takes me into point 8. It is very easy to be distracted. Okay. Us as humans, it's very easy right now in society for us to be distracted. There's a lot of things out there to distract us. And distraction, it leads to status quo. Okay? Easy to be distracted leads to status quo. And status quo is our default in our mind, right? Because we are built to survive, not to thrive. Right? Leads me to point 9. Status quo is the natural state of our mind and body, right? So, making those decisions to get you out of the status quo, taking that wheel, it's a conscious decision and it's a discipline, and you have to make it every day. You have to be conscious of the decisions you're making and make sure those decisions are built to help you thrive and not just survive. Which leads me to point 10, right? You have, to advance. You guys should see my writing. I wrote these points down here, and I was writing them out. Look at my handwriting. My kids can't even read my handwriting. It's ridiculous. Maybe I should have been a doctor. I don't know. To advance, you have to constantly check your status quo. You have to keep it in check, right? Maybe that sounds stressful, but I want to point something out. When we say we're built to survive and not to thrive, we're built for the status quo and not for success, I want you to think about something. We all want to be happy. That's our goal, right? We all want to be happy. Look at what Buddha said. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path, right? We all want to be happy. But you guys understand, it's impossible for humans to maintain the same emotional state. As human beings, we cannot maintain the same emotional state. It's impossible. Our emotional states are going to go up and they're going to go down. Point blank. It's impossible for us to maintain the same emotional state. If we achieve something that in our mind we perceive to make us happy, it'll last for a little while and then it'll wear off and we'll be looking at something else, right? It's impossible for us as humans to maintain the same emotional state. And it comes back to the fact that we are built to survive and not to achieve some kind of success or to thrive. Success for humans is to stay alive, to continue the race of human beings. That's success for humans. So in order for you to combat that, you're going to have to be very conscious of your decision making. And when it comes to why we fail to implement, this is the main reason why we fail to implement. We're not built to implement things that are going to change our lives. We're built to maintain the status quo. So for you, that means you have to stay conscious of your decision making. You have to take the wheel and always make the decisions that are designed to help you thrive. Boss level thinking. Hashtag, right? Boss level thinking. Anyways, guys, I hope you found this video helpful today. I hope you got some value out of it. And thanks so much for hanging out with me on this Monday afternoon. I got to go get some walking in, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace, everybody. Oh, I got a new course coming out. It's a book. I wrote a book for a change instead of a video course. I also did a video course, too, for it. I did a video course for the book, trying to figure out if I should just include the video course with the book or just make it an upsell. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but it's called Mesolimbic Marketing. I think you're going to love it. I wrote the freaking book, man. It's been the first time I wrote a book since Offer Kings. So anyways, man, that's all I got. Hope you guys are doing amazing. That book will be out a little bit later this month. And man, be well. Have a great week. Make conscious decisions. Decisions meant to thrive, not just status quo. Peace, everybody. I'm out.